Archer, I think, is my most watched TV show. Like, ever. It's hard to say. Like, it's definitely between that and Community. Maybe Friends. Oh, it could be The Office. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. No, that song is far too copyrighted. Let me just, Archer is fantastic. The more I watch it, the better it gets. Yeah, I will watch it anywhere and everywhere because it's just so funny. I mean, it has some of the most quotable lines in all of television.
Woodhouse, what are you doing?
Sitting down, sir.
What, at the table?
Sterling.
Like people?
Sterling!
What? Look, he thinks he's people.
The show's sense of humor is just so weird and wonderful.
I've seen that movie, and spoiler alert, it ends with a closet full of my suits on fire.
I wish you'd been wearing one!
Who would want to wear an on-fire suit?
Do you know what? The character of Archer is one of my favorite TV characters, full stop.
Don't use this. She switches all the labels on her medicine. For all we know, this could be insulin.
Oh, your mother is a diabetic?
How should I know? Oh my...
You get any of that in the trash can?
No. I missed on purpose.
But you see, surprisingly enough, when I first watched it, I actually wasn't that into it. It seemed pretty regular as a show. There were week-long gaps between when I'd watch episodes and when I finally would. I enjoyed watching, but it gave me about an average number of laughs per episode as 20-minute comedies go. But I don't know what happened. Somewhere along the way, probably around the time I finished my first full watch of the series, I became obsessed. Gradually watching an episode here, an episode there, completely non-chronologically. The charm of the show just grew on me. I suppose it's an acquired taste, like whiskey.
Glenn Gooley, for the best of times.
Wait, no, that's wrong because frankly the first time you try whiskey it's disgusting. Archer always made me laugh, but somehow, now so much more than ever. So here I am.
After many a year, I have returned to YouTube.
To express my fascination about how Archer, a topic near and dear to my heart, is brilliant and specifically why. The purpose of this video essay is threefold. Number one, get whoever's watching this video, if you haven't seen it, to get off your backsides. Then, well, get back in them and yeah, give it a watch. Number two, to express my love for a wonderful piece of art. Number three, to talk about this show's declining quality. Now, I assume you, Mr. or Mrs. Viewer, found my tiny channel through my IT crowd video essay, because... Anyway, if you have watched that video at least 2/3 of the way through, something you should totally do, by the way. Yeah, maybe unironically the best thing I've ever created. You would know that a lot of my admiration for the IT crowd comes from how it let itself die. The show has my respect most of all for how it allowed itself to die. It stopped on top, a luxury few shows a gift, leading me on to point 3. Yep, this being the primary focus of the video essay. How Archer lost its mojo. What made the show once so great? And what is missing in the most recent seasons? And I'm sure as you know, this is annoyingly common in the television medium. And pretty much any medium where sequential content occurs. I want to analyze the decline in quality of the show's later season and find out what went wrong. Because... They ruined my show! So let's begin with a bit of background. This section is devoted to mostly people who haven't seen Archer, to provide context, or, you know, for people who just want a little reminder of what the show is all about. If you can't be bothered to sit through that, here's your timestamp. But I will warn you, there is a chance you could be attacked by a 3-toed sloth if you do skip. It's a small chance, and it doesn't correlate in any way to this video, but I thought you should still know. Let's start. If you don't know, Archer is an American adult animated sitcom. The program was created by Adam Reed for the FX network. The plot of the show follows the exploits of a character named Sterling Archer and primarily 7 of his colleagues and friends. Based at a dysfunctional international intelligence agency, the suave, confident, and devastatingly handsome Sterling Archer, who, as you can probably tell from his name, is the main character of the show, represents the classic fiction character of the super spy, or as he would put it,
Archer, not only handsome, but also...
A secret agent? That's what I am.
This man, Sterling Archer, is Russia's most dangerous enemy.
Known from Berlin to Bangkok as the world's most dangerous spy.
The world's greatest spy.
The show puts tropes all right there on the surface for the audience to see. It's not exactly subtle. We as audience members are just meant to accept the whole idea of the character of Archer and that he is the perfect spy, regardless of his lackluster efforts. Because this show is a parody of the spy genre, and yes, most notably, James Bond. All the tropes you would expect are there. Sterling is an incredible fighter.
ISIS agents use Krav Maga. We've got an ex-Mossad guy. He comes in on Thursdays.
Neato.
Yeah, Tuesdays he does a really rigorous spin class.
He is an accomplished linguist.
Lesson 1. Lashao Unch.
The guy wears suits.
Cyril, you need all new clothes.
Well, what's wrong with these?
I was laughing at your clothes.
Drives fast cars.
Featuring a 440 V8 engine, 6-speed manual transmission, and lit-proof body panels and windows, twin 30-cal machine guns, and anti-pursuit countermeasures in the rear.
He drinks like a fish.
No, just leave that. You'll cut your... Sterling!
And yet he treats women atrociously.
Behave yourself, Mr. Bond.
Oh, no, sorry, that was James Bond.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
Right, no, sorry, that was still James Bond. I don't know how these are getting here.
James, you're hurting
I'll
me.
do worse than that if you don't tell me.
I don't know what you mean.
Liar.
Oh, wow, he was not a good guy.
Just act like you normally do around women.
Really? Because how hard is it to poach a goddamn egg properly?
I believe he means before you lure them into the apartment, sir.
Oh.
Yep, that one's Archer. I'm kind of sad now. Now, this is something I did want to talk about, actually. Archer isn't condoning, but instead emphasizing the absurdity of the shocking sexism seen in previous franchises, such as James Bond, doing so through the appalling acts of the character Archer, pointing out through a comical light the ridiculousness of the show's intertextual inspirations. Right, back to the video. What I'm trying to communicate through drawing your attention to all this is that Archer, the show and character, are both perfect examples of a concept again previously mentioned in my IT crowd video essay. Most sitcom characters are based around stereotypes, falling under and implementing Medhurst's stereotype theory. What this basically means is that stereotypes are used as a sort of shorthand way to communicate a character's tendencies, personality, and demeanor, doing so quickly and efficiently for the viewer. In other words, it's when media uses intertextual, preconceived cliches to cut corners in writing so your attention as consumers can be better retained. What comedies and sitcoms, and specifically parodies, are particularly good at is showing the audience how absurd and bizarre our stereotypes the given show is based off are. Case in point, Archer is a terrific exemplification of this notion. But where it truly excels is how it presents to us the viewer just how much of a sad mess a person would be if he or she actually had the characteristics of the obvious main inspiration of the show. And again, that's James Bond. To give people who haven't seen this show a comparison, another similar example of the same theory being employed in a similar way is seen in a show I've talked about on this channel before, Rick and Morty, and most of all in these two shows' two protagonists, Rick and Archer. Rick too, just like Archer, has been based off a classical stereotypical character, the mad scientist, his appearance and key inspiration being Doc Emmett Brown, from Back to the Future, obviously. He comes with all the cliches of a brilliant, enthusiastic and adventure-having genius, but he also comes with all the deep-seated misery and psychopathic insanity that would inevitably accompany such an antisocial man if such a person existed in a world closer to ours. Now thinking about it, Archer actually has its own representation of the mad scientist, seen in Krieger.
Soon we will be married, yes?
Very soon, my little cherry blossom.
Would you please focus?
No! You maniac! You blew her up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
So how's this going?
Not great.
But we're just gonna ignore that for a sec. We're talking about Archer. Now, Rick and Morty, of course, pokes fun at the genres of sci-fi and adventure. Archer does exactly the same with the action and spy genres. Both shows are again alike in the completely unapologetic inglorification of how petty, dysfunctional, and immature a person so trope-heavy would be.
What else? We got any lube? Like at this point, even olive oil would help me get that Drawer unstuck.
Okay, now briefly I want to talk about the talent behind the show. Now, the show is written fantastically by people such as the aforementioned Adam Reed, as well as Rick Cleveland, Matt Thompson, and Chris Provenzano. They are such a huge reason the show, at least once upon a time, was such a fabulous item of media. However, much of the show's charisma can also be attributed to the performances. Now, as well as the titular Archer, played by the extraordinary H. John Benjamin, the main cast of the show consists of Sterling's mother, Mallory Archer, played by the unfortunately late Jessica Walter, Lana Kane, played by the wonderful Aisha Tyler, Cyril Figgis, played by the brilliant Chris Parnell. He's actually in Rick and Morty as Jerry. Cheryl/Carol/Karina/Charlotte/Charlene/Crystal Tunt, played by the hilarious Judy Greer. Pam Poovey, played by the fantastic Amber Nash. Ray Gillette, probably I think my favourite character, played by the incredible Adam Reed. And Dr. Algernon Krieger, played by the fabulous Lucky Yates. All these characters, like Archer, are based off stereotypes, although not all are derived from the spy genre. You see, I believe a key reason the writing for Archer was so wonderful was due to the show's setting of a spy agency, which, as well as assisting in the establishment of intertextual characters, such as a Q-type figure and N-type figure, it let the show explore a range of extremely entertaining misguided misadventures. It provides the writers with a plentiful well of possible story-rich plots that writers could sew into their scripts. These could range from an attempt to save the world from nuclear disaster to fighting pirates and bionic men in space. However, what I believe to be a key element of Archer's house style is how it brings the addition of new characters, environments, and themes to specifically buck the stereotypes of the otherwise exciting and dramatic spy ones, making way for a lot of injectable juxtapositional comedy. With this addition of new characters, such as accountants and PR reps, environments like break rooms and laundry shops, story occurrences like staff meetings and baby showers, into a world that obviously has no place for them, the writers form an abundance of comedic potential through the tension of the opposing atmosphere, resulting in an anticlimactic style of comedy that I just love. You see, Archer's plots are given a stylistic, rational, or small-scale twist that illuminates the personality of the show, representing the genre in a more realistic and more comical light. An extremely refreshing style of comedy. A style of comedy most of the audience may have never seen. Paralleling large-scale conflicts with small-scale plot makes both seem more ridiculous. It's just a wonderful story structure. Like, the show would happily base a plot involving a possible assassination attempt that would provoke a third world war to two people sitting in an office arguing over a screenplay.
Where? Tell me where Pinch 2 is supposed to go, and I'll... Act 2 is wall to wall with this love story you're making me shoehorn into...
The forbidden love between Mallory and Cassius is central to the plot.
Oh, for the love...
Making both of their events subsequently funnier in the dissimilarity. We see this anticlimactic, underwhelming, rational, realistic, small-scale, juxtapositional, appositional house style of comedy everywhere in the show, even on a joke-by-joke basis. Compared to its non-comical influences, the show excels by presenting a world closer to us in tone, but further from us in realism. I mean, questions like, hey, do spies have life insurance? Do regular goons and red shirts have medical? Hey, how much do intelligence desk workers get paid? Are brilliant examples of this. You see, a lot of the fuel for the show are its small-scale stories. It's kind of these that we the viewer relate to the most. The show's characteristic sparks of realism are the very example of the show's personality.
Open it up and look.
At what, Cyril? A big spritz of knockout gas?
Apparently not.
Exactly, because I don't even know if that's a real thing.
Okay, so then I'm just gonna throw this out there. Knockout gas. I'm sorry, I honestly thought knockout gas was an actual thing.
Idiot. No, we actually made a couple of stops while you were knocked out. Had to get more Tom for the Collins. Oh, and also rob a gun store.
Wait, what? How long was I out?
20 minutes?
Damn it!
Yeah, that is not good for you.
Dukes.
Oh, and by the way, try not to be unconscious too long. It's super bad for you.
He did what?
Well, for starters, this.
Good God.
Yeah, that's a broken zygomatic bone. Plus, I was unconscious for an hour.
Ooh, really?
Which is super bad for you.
Super bad. Have you seen a neurologist?
Have a CAT scan tomorrow.
Well,
the program, like all good sitcoms, is a balance of the contrast between the bombastic and the mundane. Global crises are merely opportunities for characters to confuse, undermine, betray, and royally screw one another. In complete summary and synopsis, Archer is about relatable, petty, small-scale conflict under an absurdist backdrop of a super spy context. today's analysis, as I'm sure you can already infer from the title of the video, I would like to focus on a key aspect of the show that it shares with so many others, and that is how television programs deteriorate in quality in their later seasons. An incredibly common phenomenon caused by a number of contributing factors. It's a contradictory concept. As the viewership of a program rises, as its popularity increases, as the success snowballs, TV shows actually tend to drop in quality? What? Higher budgets lead to a lesser end product? That doesn't sound right. But as I'm sure you very well know, you consuming binge watching Netflixer, it absolutely is. You know what? I'm not even going to bother giving you any examples. You already know this stuff. Okay, I can't help myself. I really liked Game of Thrones. That show was magic. Season 1 was perfection, and it was murdered. Oh, Lost Season 1. I'm not joking. Perfection. And don't let me get started on anything in the Arrowverse. Especially Arrow Season 1 was so strong. And now? I mean, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1, absolutely flabbergastingly fantastic. And what happened? Who am I kidding? You guys stuck the landing. Nice work, guys. Well, kinda. Damn it, you were so close. Stranger Things Season 1? Oh, I mean, if I could marry a show. And well, right, okay, you're keeping it up, but I've got my eye on you. Yeah, I actually think Season 2 is incredibly underrated. Okay, you know what, actually, sidebar. Now I'm on this subject, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna list some brilliant shows that are still running that I think are gonna end poorly. And you know what, you can quote me on this. That's right, I'm gonna predict the future. Ready? Ready. The Boys, Season 1, I give it a 9 out of 10. The Mandalorian, Season 1, 7 out of 10. Loki, Season 1, 7 out of 10. Sex Education, Season 1, 7 out of 10 again. Rick and Morty, Season 1, 8 out of 10. And Invincible, Season 1, 9 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, I love all these shows. I really do, but I've been hurt before, and I just don't have faith. And finally, as an honorable mention, Archer. Yep, it's still running. It's been threatening to end for years now, but it's currently on 12 seasons. I've only seen 11 of them, because that's how many were on British Netflix, right up until very recently. Literally, as I've been editing this video, I say season 12's gone on Netflix. I did try to watch it. I tried so hard, but more on that later. You see, Archer's quite cheap to have on this list, because if it ended right now, it would have already butchered a very beloved show. However, nonetheless, the creators persevere. Yeah, it's soon to be 13 seasons. Of course, I've been struggling to work out why this has been happening. However, whilst writing this video, I read John Cleese's book on creativity. And that had some really relevant insights. And I quote, "It sometimes happens that creative novelists never quite achieve the originality of their first novel. This is because beginners sometimes have a freshness in their approach that later fades away. The Buddhists have a phrase for this, beginner's mind, expressing how experience can be more vivid when it's not dulled by familiarity. It's the psychological equivalent of diminishing results." Right, so I keep saying it, but how and why was the early show so terrific? Let me take you back. The year is 2009. Bitcoin has just come out. North Korea is blowing up things. There was a flu pandemic? Really? Music at the time, well, it speaks for itself. Slovakia switched to the euro, and there was the first female leader of the UNDP. Hey dude. Yeah, sorry man, I have no clue what that is. What is that? I don't know, I was hoping you knew. And on September the 17th, if you switched over to FX.
Sterling Archer, codename Duchess. Known from Berlin to Bangkok as the world's most dangerous spy.
Oh, yeah, that's the stuff. And by the way, can you just ignore that we played that clip earlier? Thank you very much. So here's what's up. The first 4 seasons of the show, in my humble opinion, are gold. There isn't much more to say. They were funny.
In exchange for a favor.
A favor?
Yeah.
After how you treated me?
Well, you dolphin Pam!
Uniquely and brilliantly animated. Well written.
Lana, that is the 3rd saddest thing I've heard today. Pam told me about a little girl who drowned trying to save a puppy.
Jesus, what was the 2nd saddest?
The puppy drowned too.
And I don't know what to say, the show just had charm.
Good luck fighting a bunch of, whatever, space pirates without me. You. into space.
However, for me at least, its most particular characteristic is its rewatchability. I just don't get bored. A massive contributor to this is how the early seasons of the show are very SpongeBobian in their ability to watch the contained episodes out of chronology. You can just skip about. A thing I have noticed on my many rewatches of the show is that in these early seasons, there aren't that many season-long arcs. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is unique to the show. It's a very episodic and sitcomish style, where most of the episode's problems are tied up in a single installment, letting me or you as a consumer have the freedom to watch one-off episodes. And that's not to say that season-long stories that weave together episode by episode are bad, but, I mean, you wouldn't just sit down and watch mid-season episodes of Breaking Bad. Not in the same way you would sit down and watch something like The Office.
Dancing! It is a primal art form used in ancient times to express yourself with the body!
To be clear, there are recurring plot points in the show, a few in the first 4 seasons, in order to balance a chronological flow whilst preserving episodes as standalone artwork. But I would say this is actually one of the areas where the show underperforms. The classic will they won't they of the show, for example, is seen in the characters of Archer and Lana Kane. This romance is mostly interesting in the first maybe 6 seasons, however now we're nearly up to 13, and even though it was pretty much resolved in those 6 seasons, it's still not resolved, and it's just annoying. They're putting obstacles in the way for no reason.
Needing you is apparently the deepest part of me. I guess I don't know what I'm proposing. I'm in the middle of giving a heartfelt, life-changing speech.
To my beautiful wife. Hello, Sterling. I'm Robert.
Oh, it's low. Wow, look at that.
The main recurrence where the show exceeds the most is the recurring joke or gag. In fact, I'd go as far to say that this show is probably the king of the callback or running joke.
Seriously, Lana, call Kenny Loggins, because you're in the danger zone.
Danger zone! Danger zone! Danger zone!
Danger zone. Danger zone?
Danger zone!
Phrasing? 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 Hey! Phrasing! Phrasing!
Yeah.
Phrasing, mother! Phrasing!
Shut up!
Phrasing?
Phrasing. Phrasing. Boom!
Phrasing! So, we're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
One of my personal favorites is how the character of Gillette won't stop getting paralyzed. I know, if you haven't seen the show, that must sound weird, but trust me. Now here's something else I love. An insane amount of lines from the show echo a previous line from somewhere else in the show. Each joke working as a one-off, but also adding to the tapestry that you, the viewer, notice more and more as you go back again and again. And I promise it's not a hyperbole. When I say I've seen the show an uncountable amount of time. Okay, that one was a hyperbole. And trust me, I still notice stuff, little details. I mean, details hidden so deep for weirdos like me. What I love doing is going back and trying to decode lines of dialogue that the showrunners have hidden in group dialogue.
Ray, call Mallory.
Hey, wait.
Agent Hector Ruiz, who had infiltrated El Frente Rojo, was killed last night when his cover was blown.
my little burrito.
Wait, who?
How?
Ew, what is this? Homemade salad dressing?
Breast milk.
I made mine.
That's disgusting. If I wanted to look at your bare feet, Woodhouse, I'd sneak in and do it while you're asleep.
Whoa, somebody's got a full diaper, huh?
Crank up the heat. I'm as naked as the day I was born.
Yes.
You said you had a plan.
My plan is to crowdsource a plan.
Big Tom Chomsky. Big Tom Chomsky. Big Tom Chomsky. Big Tom Chomsky. Big Tom Chomsky.
Okay, now we've had a look at how brilliant the early seasons are. Let's have a look at what happened in the show's latter seasons. This leads me perfectly into my next point. Eventually, the show actually began to step away from this base formula of contained episodes to a more season-wide story structure. To take this even further, Archer actually steps away from its brilliant and pretty much false stimulus concept of the spy. The concept that let the writers mostly free with its incredible variety of its possible plots. And this didn't happen gradually, but immediately. I give you season 5. In this season, in the space of just an episode actually, our main cast go from an international secret intelligence service to running a drug cartel, completely undermining the most fundamental identity of the show. And yeah, well, what a stupid idea, right? Now, I get what the show writers were thinking. Sure, the spy thing had worked for them in the past. But well, for how much longer was it gonna last them? They could have waited until they were left with a stale and overused concept. Or they could take a risk. Strike whilst the iron was hot to keep the show fresh. I get it, and, well, it's totally worked. Hey, Lawrence, what's your favourite season of Archer?
Season 5.
Yeah, but this was a massive gamble. Huge. No, I mean, think about it. Seriously, think about it. The show changed the very basis that 100% of its story and characters were all built upon. Against the odds, when the proverbial cloth was ripped out from under the show, its proverbial dishes stayed right where they were supposed to be. Proverbially speaking, of course. There are a select few fans that don't like this season. It seems to be somewhat marmitey. You love it or you hate it, but I think the vast majority of us love it. In my opinion, this was a massive accomplishment. I can't think of any other instance that this has happened to the same extent. Imagine a random episode of The Office. Let's say the first episode of season 5. Imagine the showrunners decided that all the characters were going to spontaneously join the army, then subsequently spent 24 episodes in Iraq. No, wait, even better. Whoever got that joke, I love you. Season 5 of Archer in many ways was more charming, more funny, and more refreshing than Archer had perhaps ever been, but I think that was the cause of Archer's death. You see, what happened in season 5 is that the show had now proved that it didn't have to be the spy show. It wasn't really the anything show. The rules didn't apply, and the sky was the limit. And it was that assumption and overconfidence that led to Archer's eventual destruction. That being said, season 6 was a return to form, and overall a pretty successful one. They managed to slip somewhat back into their original concept, with not much of a disturbance, returning to the spy subgenre, and the more contained episode by episode style of the pre-season 5 show. The Canes remains one of my favourite episodes to this day. If the show had just stopped here, you know, maybe even had 1 or 2 more seasons and concluded with dignity, I wouldn't be making this video. Well, maybe the video up to this point, but not the next bit. But alas, season 7 couldn't come around, and the drop in quality was clear. Season 7's basis is that our characters become a private investigator team. Relatively not that big of a jump in terms of plot base, not even as much of a jump as season 5 was. However, episodes seemed far less interesting. I mean, I could only assume that they thought they could recreate season 5. But let's just say they didn't succeed. And so I suppose the question is, what did season 7 do wrong? What did the creators do differently? And why did season 7 fail where season 5 succeeded? In all my investigating, I've come to the conclusion that the fault lies in mostly the introduction of a season-long recurring cross-episode storyline. Now, when I say that, I'm of course not talking about the aforementioned base concept, like how season 5 has the drug dealing plot, or season 7 has the PI plot. They kept season continuity whilst liberating the individual episodes to explore new and interesting stories, ideas and concepts, and
to boldly go where no one has gone before.
No, what I mean is how season 7, and then the subsequent seasons, implemented characters and stories that weren't contained within their own episodes, but instead dragging them out across the whole season, as if the entire season was a deformed and never-ending two-parter. This is something that was mostly absent from the show up until this point, and seriously, nearly every episode of this season is situated around the same thing. And it's not that base plot, it's not them just being investigators, it's about them investigating the exact same thing. For some reason, near every episode of the season revolves around the frankly boring character and story of an actress named Veronica Dean. I have no idea why the writers kept going back to this character as the stimulus of the season's stories, but because they've had to drag this dull damsel in distress through most episodes, it's just annoying. The season really suffers. Oh cool, this could be interesting. Oh, get off screen! Season 8 is, however, where things got weird. Interesting, but weird. The quality of the episodes from this point forward dropped rapidly, with season 9 being an all-time low. You see, seasons 8, 9, and 10 make up a Dreamland section of the program. Each season had a completely different and upending-based concept, to a whole different extent to even season 5 and 7 attempted. These seasons used an admittedly innovative and interesting story frame. We as viewers are looking into the coma dreams of the protagonist. Through this, we as viewers get to see 3 completely different concepts in 3 new and interesting settings. Being set in 1940s Los Angeles, the 1938 South Pacific, and a sci-fi spaceship. All seasons unrelated to each other in almost every way apart from pretty much character personality. This is a writing decision that I enormously respect for its boldness, but as Sid Field wrote in his book, Screenplay, The Foundation of Screenwriting, character is the heart, soul, and nervous system of your story. And well, to alter them to this extent is just playing with fire. You see, they push the idea of reconceptualization even further than they had done in season 5. Or, yes, in any other show possibly ever. And the only thing is, it didn't pay off. It's sad to say, but it just didn't. You see, a vast proportion of Archer's joy was in its characters, and that makes sense, because as Sid Field lovingly just articulated for us, character is, or yeah, at least should be, a fundamental aspect of a show. They're the face, the personality, the platform to which the writers communicate to the viewer. Every second of screen time is generally focused to employing them in some fashion. They are the provocation of all stories, and the foundation for a show as a whole. Here's another Sid Field quote for you. Action is character. And of course, this is true. Can you think of a story with no character? Here's a short one I love. A tree falls in the woods, and no one is around to hear it. Does it make a sound? That's barely a story, right? Even in that short and infamous brain teaser from Dr. George Berg, I would argue that the tree's the character. And Archer itself proved this. Well, you know, not that trees are characters. I mean that they're a vital pillar to the concept of story. You see, if you look at the show as a whole, as I said, at one point, all that remained of Archer were its characters' personalities. The character fundamentals. No other part of the show's identity really, truly remained. Not its story, not its music. Not even its character's design or names, just the cause of its character's ultimate traits. But the truth is, so much of the charm of Archer's characters that we as viewers got to slowly find out more and more about them. A certain way the show expressed an insight into the personalities of the main cast was through the gradual reveal of their various comical parts. Episode by episode, we found out more and more about the context and insight into the bizarre and unexpected, but most importantly, comical pasts of any of the main 7 characters. Evidence. Oh, we need evidence. I give you, my dear viewer, the character of Lana. A no-craps given type of character, unexpectedly revealed to be a prior radical environmentalist.
How's it feel to be a murderer? Shall we find out?
Pam, originally seemingly a run-of-the-mill typical dull PR manager, revealed to be an underground street fighter, drift car racer, and farmer.
First of all, how are you still even conscious?
How do you think I paid for college? $260, $280, and Jackson makes 3. And, sorry about your homie. Homies.
Cheryl, at first, a stereotypical moody office secretary, slowly revealed to be an insane, masochistic, billionaire, arsonist, psychopath.
Tonight was Cornhole League, then on Saturday...
If I cared about what you do on the weekend, I'd stick a shotgun in my mouth and pull the trigger with my toes.
Saturday, I watched a building burn down.
The character of Archer's flashbacks are often themselves an explanation for the reason he is why he is. This is something that I think wasn't taken into account during the recontextualization of the show. Archer completely reinvented characters, without even bothering or giving us little to no explanation of their backstories, or who they are now, or to what extent they've transformed, how close they are to our beloved originals. And for me at least, this just confused me. It's an interesting idea, don't get me wrong. Again, I really respect this as a concept and totally think it could have worked. But it didn't. It wasn't all bad. I think completely reinventing characters and exaggerating them into completely new extreme caricatures of what they are is kind of a great idea. But when you're basing an entire third of your show on these non-characters, each of them only getting one season before again refreshing, is possibly taking it a step too far. I also don't think the problem is solved in the return to the main show's storyline. Eventually, there's only so much you can colour in a colouring book before you're forced to go out of the line. In sitcoms, the more a character develops, generally the more extreme they become. Think the Friends characters, and how the season 1 core group compared to the season 10 core group.
Woof!
And well, with Archer, by the time season 12 rolls around, all has been revealed and characters have reached their peak of reasonable and contributing hyperbolization. To make characters more and more extreme after a certain point contorts them into something ugly or annoying. Pam is a brilliant example of this. Over the course of the show, she's probably gone from being my favourite character to my least favourite character. She's just irritating when she's on screen.
I'm so angry right now, I can't even... Oh, god damn it. Did you fart in that?
Eventually now, the Archer cast has as much resemblance to their original selves as pretty much to those Dreamland non-characters. There's a difference between character development and character disfiguration. I genuinely think that these 3 seasons could have been some of the best TV ever. But in fact, more than anything, I think it was the individual episodes that were simply nowhere near as funny or interesting as they could have been. Although I'm yet to see season 12, after season 11, which... hurts me to say it, was an abysmal attempt to return to form. The detour that Archer has taken has seemed to have permanently wounded a once majestic program. I did watch episode 1, and trust me, it's not that I haven't had the time. In fact, this very video essay process has been pretty much the biggest project I've ever done. I've sunk more hours than I can count into this. I truly cannot bring myself to watch season 12. I choose not to. I don't want to see something I love torn apart. So where the main fault lies in the fall of Archer is actually unclear. Perhaps in fact it was just that they wandered too far from the spy subgenre that viewers, including me, so adored. To be fair, if you look at it, near half of the entire show is spent not being Archer, but instead chasing some other identity. Archer was the show that I loved, and not the group of weirdos in the jungle show. When it comes down to it, if I wanted to watch a sci-fi comedy cartoon, I would watch Rick and Morty. It's just not what most viewers signed up for. I believe most of all, what disfigured this show more than anything is something that was hidden under the recontextualization of the show. The far too common curse of bad writing.
Just stop! Just stop it! It's time to stop! No! It's time to stop, okay? No more! You need to stop everything. What are you doing with your life?
One thing is for sure, Archer has never been so unfunny as in these seasons. And get this, I think I've found a way to quantify this. I hate toilet humor. I hate toilet humor. I hate toilet humor. I hate toilet humor. Sorry. I hate toilet humor, no matter what show and no matter what context.
Taste my theory!
And I hate the legit imagined, of course, so very much. It's cheap, childish, off-putting more than comical, and in terms of writing, it takes about as much creativity as I don't know, someone on TikTok. But for the most part, it's just bad. And what I've come to notice is that the more a show deteriorates in quality, the more frequent toilet humor becomes. What? This is Game of Thrones! Simply, my theory is that toilet humor, in most cases, is directly proportional to the quality of a piece of work. And not just simply feces here, guys. You know, any joke about some sort of body fluid, or reflex, or genitalia joke, you know, the really classy stuff, they're all part of this. I have deemed this the crap hypothesis, after both what it implies about the quality of the item of media, as well as the very subject matter of the theory. And yeah, I do understand that the theory name is toilet humor in of itself, but it's meta, so it's fine. Now, how do the Dreamland seasons of Archer, the seasons where Archer first dropped in quality, the ones that possibly ruined the show, hold up to this theory?
Don't forget to smear those steaks with feces.
Poo-poo! Poo-poo!
I evacuated.
Yeah, well, I would have hightailed it too.
No. Common misconception. When a person evacuates, it means they empty their bladder and bowel.
Ew!
Mother touched my penis. Yeah, since we're playing the blame game, so just picture Mother's big old nasty bird claw touching my cock.
What the?
Jesus Christ!
God damn it.
Help! That's our Pam! Syphilis. Oh, hey! How about that Taft-Hartley act?
Show us your tits.
Oh, Father, that's disgusting.
Me? You're the one that's covered in farts. Well, I picked up some phrases banging a pirate or two. Here's how to say faster, harder. Trin rat, squat, squitter, rat, rat. Now you try it. No, it's more like... You know the sound you make after letting out a fart you've been holding in all day?
Oh, please, you've never held in a fart in your life.
Tough, but fair.
Why are we laughing?
We're stuck inside a space nautilus somewhere between his colon and his cloaca.
What's a cloaca?
It's an organ that's used for excretion and also intercourse.
What now?
Seriously.
Do you know what? No, I can't do this anymore. I spent like I don't know, 3 hours yesterday trying to gather these all up. Only now I'm putting them together. I've realized I've got too many of them. I suffered through all that for nothing.
Like now, Pam. Now would have been a great time to hold it in.
I found so many that I can't even put these all in. Like, if I put these all in, that could be half an hour easy. I've had it. No, well, one thing I did learn in the gathering process, by far the worst offender, is season 10. I'm actually quite surprised. Out of the 3, it's probably my favourite, but it makes sense. If the show's writing has got worse over time, surely the most recent out of them would have the most. 99% of the feces jokes come from Pam. What were they doing in this season with her? Like, I'm hoping some of those clips showed that to you, but I really can't stress this enough if you haven't seen this season. Whoa! What were they thinking?
A Tennessee titty twister?
Well, how you like these titties?
There's nothing sexual about it.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty sexy.
To die alone, literally eating dicks.
Oh, come on.
Or, you know, whatever Pam has. I hesitate to call that thing a dick.
It's more like a garbage claw.
What I'm hoping to do by showing you these clips is to prove how horrifically the show's style and, I suppose, overall dignity has been handled in recent seasons. Now, of course, this isn't going to be my only piece of evidence to illustrate Archer's dropping quality. However, seriously, once you notice that, well, poop and fart jokes, I hate even saying it, I'm not going to lie, guys, obviously become more common as writing is worsened. It becomes hilarious how many examples there are. Now, don't worry, this isn't going to be my main item of evidence for this video. I just wanted to mention it. It's just atrocious. Yep, that's it for this section. Right, next bit. Sorry, no, I just really like that sound, guys. Sorry, yeah, that was me, by the way. I just think it's really funny. Whoever had headphones on, I probably just really freaked you out. Please take it as a joke. I love you, really. Right, anyway, back to the video. What are the best ways Archer's quality can be quantified? One way could possibly be dialogue. The dialogue of Archer used to be very fluid and natural. The best way I can explain it is that it just used to flow.
So where are we going anyway?
We're headed down to sub-basement 3 for a minute.
Is there a shower down there? Because I bet I just like reek of her.
1 second.
Don't I?
Dylan.
Barry, you getting that?
Really?
I'm brushing.
Yeah.
I'm brushing it your way, Barry.
No, I'm actually at the lobby right now. 2 seconds.
The conversation was full of interruptions and cut-ins. You know, everyone spoke over each other. Just like, well, you know, normal conversations. Scenes were unbelievably dense with speech. That was quick, constant, and filled with meaning. There was never a single moment where a joke wasn't being set up. And this meant that Archer could fit a respectable amount of charm, and most importantly, casual comedy into scenes that may have lasted literally seconds.
Well, whose fault is that?
Yours?
Barry.
You bust in, shoot 2 perfectly good double agents.
And you think an appropriate response is to ruin my suit? And my shirt!
I'm sorry. So will you please just help me up?
No.
Even between scenes, conversation remained. Location and scene shifts use dialogue as a transition from one setting to another, creating a whole other context for dialogue.
Let's have a baby shower for Trinette and the wee baby Seamus.
Oh, he'll hate that. I want to come.
I think I just did.
And so, thank you both for coming, even though Mr. Archer is the only party named in the subpoena.
Often performed over an establishing shot, the uncontextualized double entendres are a brilliant use of an otherwise unused or possibly comically static space. This retained the flow that much better made use of every single allocated second of the episode's airtime. It was efficient. And this efficiency is represented in all areas of the downfall of Archer. It's the main thing that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm determined to prove its initial characteristic proficiency and its subsequent loss of it. So here's what I'm gonna do. To measure the efficiency of Archer, I could measure how many jokes were crammed into a particular episode, then possibly compare an early episode to a later episode. But you see, trying to define a joke in Archer is like trying to define the exact point yellow turns to purple on the color wheel. Yeah, it can't really be done. At least in the early seasons, it's pretty much all joke. Jokes like these.
Want to get out of here?
Oh my god, totally. But like, it has to be your place because mine reeks of ocelot piss.
I have no response to that.
If you don't kill me and I get loose, you're gonna wish you were in hell with your back broke.
I don't have a response to that.
They never do.
Was so funny because characters always had something to say. So when silence was used, the effect was so much stronger. So when this same joke was used in, say, season 10, the effect is dampened because silence, although still in small amounts, with perhaps it only being seconds at a time, was consistently more common. And, well, people have already done that type of analysis on other TV shows. And damn it, I'm trying to be original. So, what should I measure? Guys, I'm actually asking. Okay. No, sorry. Yeah. Okay, we're all in agreement. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have no idea. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, at least I can tell you that one of the most obvious ways this incredible efficiency is exemplified is the evidence that lies in simply how many lines that the sound engineers, writers, voice actors, and animators could cram into any one segment of the show's limited runtime. I can also tell you that I'm straight up too lazy to count 2 episodes of dialogue word for word. Can we at least agree on that, guys? Yeah, he's sure yesterday he just sat down and he gets nothing done.
We're the ones that do all the work anyway.
I know, I saw that. Yes. Okay. Yes, you are indeed too lazy. Please don't judge me, viewer. This essay is so far up to about 9,000 words. Okay, so we aren't going to analyze that either. No, what I'm going to be looking at today is something I believe to be the most obvious illustration of my argument. The actual number of scenes per episode. This is something that I first noticed whilst rewatching the episode I'm going to analyze in this video. The penultimate episode of season 1, Job Offer. For about the 5 trillion, 34 billion, 480 342,692nd time. To the power of 3. And on that fourth rewatch of season 1 episode 8, it came to my attention that the episode is brimmingly bulging in story, dialogue, character and location to the point where the episode refuses to stay still in any sense of the term. The fact is, faster scenes imply a more dynamic plot that flows, always stimulating the audience in its rapidity. The short runtime of scenes forces dialogue to be concise and dense, trimming out all the excess to leave a streamlined and overall more entertaining episode. Of course, this can also lead to scenes that feel rushed. However, I don't feel this is the case at all for Archer. Well, or at least this season, or at least this episode, as I will explain in a bit. Now, for this case study, I have had to go through the episode and work out exactly how many scenes there are per episode. This is actually way harder than it sounds, especially in the case of season 1 episode 8. To actually distinguish scene to scene is surprisingly difficult. Archer's aforementioned brilliant running joke, where the writers combine the last line of one scene with the first line of the next, creating moments of comedy and creating that aforementioned flow from scene to scene, is shown nowhere better than here. However, it does present a problem for me. Dialogue of transitions between scenes is so superbly stitched together, and scenes in the episode have such a slight length that to draw the line from distinguishing what counts as a scene and what is merely a cutaway is actually very imprecise, non-objective and difficult to place, leaving much room for debate. The technique, therefore, that I've taken with this scene census is to count every cutaway as an individual scene, because as you'll see from the numbers, that is a perfectly rational approach to take. Seriously, what do you think the average length of a scene should be for something to stop counting as a cutaway and instead becomes a scene all in its own? Maybe probably about 30 to 40 seconds, right? Yep. Well, after counting the scenes, which again, by the way, took forever, I worked out the average scene length of this episode of Archer. Yep.
25 seconds.
25 seconds. The average! You know what? If I take into account both credits... well, it stays pretty much the same. Oh, but come on, that is impressive. But what to compare it to? Guys, ideas? Did anyone excuse me, what time is lunch? Yep, you are no help! For this analysis, I have chosen to cross-examine season 1, episode 8, with a later season episode I actually somewhat like, just because I'm the one who has to sit through this, not you. My first step in choosing an episode will be to start with a ranking of the season, to determine which are the worst. Right, I'm just gonna be really fast about this, so write this down. 2, 1, 3, 5, 6, 4, then a big gap in quality, then 10, 8, 7, 11, 9. For obvious reasons, 12 and 13 aren't on this list. If you've seen the show, this may mean something to you. If not, okay, who asked? If you look at that list, well, coincidentally, season 10 is the season in that group that had the most previously talked about concise episode adventures and contained style. Overall season-long story outside its genre was in short supply, and I think this massively contributed to my enjoyment of the episode. And I think that's why out of the group of the worst seasons, it's my favorite. Although after gathering all the toilet humor evidence, I'm less sure.
Ugh, you gotta be shitting me.
So I think I will choose season 10 for the following reasons. The episode structures are more similar to the early seasons, so the episodes will be easier to compare. It's one of the very recent seasons of Archer, so we know that if Archer has lost density and efficiency, this season's episodes will be evident of that, and I like it the most. Let's go. So, what I thought would be fair, because I'm talking to you about the penultimate episode of season 1, Job Offer, I thought I would also conduct an investigation into the penultimate episode of season 10, episode 8, Cuba. I have chosen this episode for a multitude of very valid and meticulous, objective reasons. One of them being reviewing an episode means I have to watch it. So it's my channel and... it's my... And this episode I actually kind of like. And with them both being the penultimate episode of the season, they should have similar characteristics. The first half of season 10, episode 8, I actually really do genuinely like. It's super intriguing. The sci-fi genre utilized in season 10 was a sincerely interesting subgenre to dive into, giving Archer many possible writing and story possibilities. And this is brilliantly evident in the setup of episode 8, introducing an extremely interesting mystery. I mean, mean that, but they threw it away. Yep, seriously, halfway through the episode, the plot completely switches, and they, the showrunners, never addressed the open thread from the first half. Which out of the two was the better plot? I don't want to do a full analysis of this episode, because then this video would be too long. I mean, it already is, but if you want to find out more, you're just going to have to watch the episode for yourself. It's on English Netflix at the time of me releasing this, but now I'm realizing I have absolutely no idea where you live. I mean, you could be in England, but now I've given you a vague description of Cuba. Let me give you a quick synopsis of Job Offer. The episode is on the subject of the title. In typical sitcom fashion, in the very first scene, a miscommunication occurs, and the episode's story is thrown into action quickly, taking place over two continents as if scenes were based in the same room. The episode really is one of my favorites, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. Again, that's season 1, episode 9. So let's finally have a look at the numbers. Job Offer manages to cram, to my best count, 47 scenes into its runtime. If I exclude both credits, which I showed you before actually increases the average runtime of scenes, the final number is 45. 45! Look, I dare you to find a barely decent episode of any other show that crams that many scenes into a runtime just over 20 minutes. Yeah, but some movies don't manage that count. What I do have to say is, as much as I feel that this episode objectively has this many scenes, at the same time, it's more like it has 1, 2, or 3, simply due to the fact that, like I said, they flow, culminating 45 components masterfully into one. Yep, it's like if Frankenstein's monster came out looking like Ryan Reynolds. And so how does season 10 episode 8 compare? Silence. Yep, silence please. Excluding credits? 16. 16? Yeah, 16? 16? About a third of Job Offer. And I know what you're thinking, maybe its runtime is way shorter. No, it's only 50 seconds less. I mean, I still can't believe this. Seriously, get that through your head. 16. Honestly, when I counted, I couldn't believe it. I mean, how had I not seen it before? How had the showrunners not seen this? How has the show changed that much? Do you see now why I'm frustrated? To illustrate to you how time is wasted in this episode. Look, check it. At one point in the episode, there's a good 30 seconds dedicated to a character just choking. Now, there's no build-up, no payoff. It's just there. It's not funny. It hasn't got anything to do with anything. Just take a look.
It's gone.
What?
What are you doing?
What's the matter? Hey, the food ain't that bad, baby.
Oh, God. Gross.
What the shit with the spoon?
I mean, it's just weird. These numbers are absolutely representative of the degeneration of Archer. The density of content was incredibly symptomatic of a wider diagnosis, that being that the show was diminishing in overall quality. I mean, I've just shown you in black and white. Of course, there are exceptions to this density. The correlation of scene numerosity to overall episode density isn't always applicable. For example, season 6 episode 5 takes place mostly in one location, and the whole episode is pretty much one scene. But the episode is absolutely full of dialogue and humor.
Damn you, you outlying piece of data! Ow!
Yeah, it's actually one of my personal favorite episodes. However, the reason for this is down to the fact that this is a bottle episode, a rare exemplification where the opposite of the postulated rule results in a particular style of episode. And this is not what season 10 episode 8 is. This doesn't give Qbert an excuse at all. Yeah, I want to know why. Why has this happened? Why is it so common in TV in general? What is this oxymoronic trend that so often has the counterproductive result so many shows fall into? The inevitable quality drop plague of contemporary media. Here's what I believe to be the cause of this illness. Archer, in its conception, had something to prove. A style to develop, an audience to win, a season 2 to earn. By, say, season 5, it had done all of those things. With the pressure lessened on the creators, audiences, and over the course of 10 seasons, their attention was probably diverted and a slow and unnoticed leak sprung. So small, it wasn't always visible, but episode by episode, over the course of seasons, and with the power of the compound effect, content and story, and the very density of the now underwhelming show were seeped. I think this altogether provides an explanation for the trend of deterioration in any given TV show. Despite the increases in resource, financial or otherwise, not all shows go gentle into that good night. Much like humans, in youth, Archer was filled with possibility, energy, ambition, and the privilege of optimistic opportunity, control of destination and identity. And now, in its elderly state, it's deprived of such luxuries. Looking at it now, as a show, it looked like it went through a midlife crisis. The definition of a midlife crisis: a transition of identity and self-confidence that occurs in middle-aged individuals. It's a conflict between a person's perception of themselves and their lives as they think they are, and what they want them to be. That sounds a lot like Archer to me. Newly acquired high budget is, in a way, hindered by prior brilliance and the formation of an already built reputation. Establishment can be confining in later seasons when a show has already proven itself and is subsequently given an abundance of resource. In return, quality in areas that never required resource in the first place are too often focused on less and overlooked as an important aspect of the production. Yep, again, an example of this is writing. It's something that doesn't need necessarily millions, just hard work. Get the basics done, no matter how basic you think they are. And who knows, maybe even I will fall into this trap in my ventures creating these videos. I like to think that I'm currently running this project with an increasing quality level. However, I'm still in the conception stage, and perhaps down the line, I'll lose my mojo. So, I've written you a letter. Dear viewer, I expect you to tell me when that happens, so I can get my puncture repair kit before I'm drained of my odd metaphorical talent fluid. Or who knows, you might hate these videos already. In the book The Compound Effect, the New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestseller, published in 2010 and written by Darren Hardy, the primary and titular theory the whole book is based on is the whole subject and idea of slow, subtle, short and consistent processes with the multiple of time equaling large shifts of result and extremely noticeable consequences. The book's primary focus is expressing that it's this progression form that is far more effective than the misnomer. The progress happens overnight. The purpose of the book is to inspire the audience to use this concept to their advantage. Make small, consistent steps in the direction of larger goals to achieve drastic change. It's also made clear that this principle, however, applies in reverse. As James Clear wrote in his book Atomic Habits, a book about a near identical concept of compounding lifestyle, habits are a double-edged sword. They can work for you or against. Both these books communicate that if, little by little, attention is diverted, or any one aspect of a project, system, or person's life deteriorates, this will, given the time, result in catastrophe, having negative ripple effects and outcomes in many unpredictable areas. I think this applies perfectly as an inclusive explanation of what went wrong with Archer. Right, as I've said, don't get me wrong, Archer has made extreme decisions that definitely contributed to its downfall. But again, deceptively, the majority of the show's magic fell to this so-called compound effect, and the formation of small, consistently lazy, atomic habits. The truth is, as much as Archer's abandonment of almost every one of its identifying factors was extreme, it could have worked. The show's big bold choices, they could have worked. But when paired with the slow but sure loss of the program's unsung best qualities, such as the writing and the density, Archer was doomed for failure. To extend my metaphor from earlier, it's like changing the antibiotics for a hospital patient with a deadly illness. It could work, but what you can't see is that a puncture in the intravenous line is letting drop by drop of the fluids run out, leaving the patient with an inadequate dosage and the doctors with nothing but confusion on how their patient ended up dead.
He's dead, Jim.
Yep, you could point to the medication alteration as the culprit. It was the flashiest and most drastic change after all. But in fact, it was a subtle, fundamental, and far more basic thing that was the real problem. Yep, I hope that analogy works. parable? Metaphor? What I'm trying to convey from what I've interpreted from the many, probably wasted and lost hours spent consuming this show, is if you lose direction and take your determination and focus off what originally made you or your work special, nothing you try, no matter how adventurous or original, can rectify that void. This took ages. It really did. I mean, you know, you watched the video of that. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I know it's going to be long. But don't worry, it's over now, seriously. I did just want to talk to you before you go. All the time writing this video, right up until this moment, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I mean, you know, I don't. You just sat through it. I hope it's good. Was it good? You see, all I know is how hard I worked on it, how hard I've been working on it, how hard I am working on it. Like, seriously, I know I wrote one on that board, but this is like my 10th take. It's the biggest thing I've ever made, and to be honest, it's taken about 5 months in total. And yeah, that's not hyperbole. Like, literally, 5 months. And you know what? I've loved it. I've been having a great time. And at this point, this is pretty much all I know. Yeah. I know that I love this. I love writing. I love trying as hard as I can on something and putting more hours than any sane person would assume into just one project that I can call unequivocally mine. This channel really is one of the only things that I can really say that I've made myself. I'm talking with no help. And so here I am. After about 2 years after this channel's inception, I've finally decided that this is what I want to do. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm pretty sure my flatmates think I'm insane. You see, I want to be able to point at something and say, that was me. Because to be honest, you know, I'm 18 and there aren't really many things in my life that I can say that about. So pretty much, I need your help. You see, this is where you put the suit on. Yep, I'm sorry for the insincerity. In this format, I can only really communicate with you generically across a screen. But I really do need your help. Whoever you are, please, if you liked this video and my channel, please, oh, give me a sec, do anything you can. Please do anything you can. Something as little as tapping the like button could get me that little bit closer to living my dream. Yeah, my flatmates definitely think I'm insane. Yeah, I'm starting to think I'm insane. I have big plans for this project. You know, this is just a start. This channel probably won't remain just exclusively about screen media. Slowly I'll begin to make other content as my style develops. Book analyzation, music analyzation, science videos, education videos, short stories, short films, maybe even a bit of music production. Anything that I can do, anything that you want, I will do anything to make this project work. And I will put 100% of my ability into it. Some of it will be good content, you know, I hope great. And some of it will also be bad, but I'm learning. I will learn. I will develop. I'll see what works and what doesn't. I'm sorry if this shameless request annoys you, but I'll do anything I have to make this work. You know, I even dressed up like a nun. I mean, come on. So no contribution, no matter how small, is wasted. And a like or a subscribe would put a smile on my face. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. You will be seeing more of me.